Hi, good morning, and welcome to the second episode of All Things Anthropology. I'll be discussing about continents in more detail. So, the first continent in discussion today will be Africa. Okay, how many people actually know about Africa? People think that Africa is a country. Of course, there is South Africa, there is the Central African Republic, but Africa alone is not a country. Like, people get mistaken, like, oh, you're from Africa, so you're the same. That's not true. Africa is one of the most interesting places in the world because it is where the oldest human remains can be found, which is in Ethiopia. Okay? And we also have the Great Pyramids of Giza located in Egypt. As I previously said before, Egypt is in Africa. It also boasts the longest river ever, which is the Nile. Then you have the Sahara Desert, which is one of the world's largest deserts in the earth, covering from Mauritania, most of Niger, Chad, Sudan, Egypt, Libya, Western Sahara, Algeria. So it's one of the largest deserts in the world. But besides that, why what to know about Africa? Africa is interesting because of a few facts that I will tell you. Okay, Africa has the second largest population on the earth. About over 1 billion people live in Africa, and over 2,000 different languages are found in Africa. So, okay, this seems basic stuff, but do you know the largest religion in Africa is Islam, then followed by Christianity? And also, out of the world's population, about 14.72% make up the world's population. Okay? Africa is well known for its incredible beauty, as you've seen in the Masai Mara reserves of Kenya. But I would like to talk about the things that we less know about Africa. Over the century, Africa suffered from terrible genocides, warlords, and droughts and famine. Like, the media has focused on that mainly, showing Africa as a hellhole and the dark continent an unlivable place. But of course, this isn't true. Africa is one of the most richest in biodiversity, rich in culture, and rich in tradition. Like, just because they look similar, they are not similar, okay? Do you know that the Bushmen of Southern Africa, Botswana, South Africa, that region, they do have dark skin, but they have Asiatic eyes, almond eyes. And no, they're not related to Chinese. They are one of the oldest people found in Africa. You can also find the Pygmies, the Maasai, and also what you call the Nilotics. Okay, I'll be going in great detail per country of this awesome region, but this is continents first. So, what should be known about this continent? Okay, this continent over here, Africa, this is Africa, is basically, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but it has an incredible shape. Like you see here, That's the Horn of Africa, and it also goes down to the bottom of Africa, which is the Cape of Good Hope. Then you have a very long coastline around Africa. So that makes it unique. Okay, what are the other things that make Africa unique as a continent? Let's begin with its people. As I mentioned to you early, I mentioned just a few people who live in Africa. Okay, most of the people in Africa, not saying all, are mainly Bantu. Bantus are found um, this region here, this area. So if you're looking at Tanzania, Kenya, um, also the Congo, and also Angola, parts of Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Mozambique, Zambia, those are Bantu people. Bantu people apparently originated from Nigeria a long, long time ago. But let's search it up on the internet. Okay. While this is searching, I'll be talking about other people in Africa. You probably seen or heard or have friends who are from Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea. They are similar people. Unlike other Africans, their distinguishing features is that they're generally tall and they're generally lighter than other Africans. Their features are more or less pronounced, distinct. When you go to West Africa, you would notice the distinctive African nose. I'm not saying, okay, African nose, but it's the more commonly featured throughout programs, TVs, like most of the media, when you show it, that's the worldview of what an African would look like. But that's not true. Like, of course, Africans are dark in skin, but not all Africans are actually black. The black ones are the Nilotic. When I mean black, I mean extremely dark because they live in the most hottest regions ever. Like in Sudan, Sudan is mainly a desert surrounded by river. So it's really humid, so they have lots of melanin in their skin. And of course, like their hair is distinctive because it protects them from their environment. So back to Bantu people, from understanding, Bantus apparently came from Nigeria and Cameroon about 4,000 years ago. Then they spread downwards. So, who are Bantu people? They can be the Congo, they can be the Kyuku, they can also be a Makua, etc. etc. They're also the Zulu in South Africa are of Bantu heritage. So, who are the other people? One of the largest ethnic groups in Africa would be the Fulani. I'll be going in great detail over the Fulani, but one of the groups of the Fulani called the Wodabe is famously known for the yake or the gerwol, which men wear makeup, and it is the woman who picks the husband who looks the prettiest. Okay? Um, in Western society, oh, guys are not supposed to wear makeup, but in that culture, amazingly, they do. Okay? Other amazing things to know about Africa is that Madagascar, even though most of the people are now mixed with African heritage are actually more related to Indonesians than anybody else. That that is quite amazing. Like, so what are your theories on the Bushmen? Why do they look Asian? And how come, like, there are people with lighter skin than others, and people generally name them blacks? Africa, to round it up, is the most interesting continent on this earth because it is archaeological rich. If you go to Cameroon, you go to Chad, you go to Niger, or wherever, you will find one of the most richest architectures ever. Like, some of the most interesting mosques are in Africa, made of mud. Those are ones found in Mali and also found in Burkina Faso. But you also have to look at the mud buildings of people in Cameroon and around those regions. Okay, so I've been talking about earlier how Africa is mainly largely Christian and Muslim. Okay, there are also traditional religions as well. Most people know Africa for its black magic, which is found throughout the world. But do you know, in Benin, over 60% of the population practice voodoo? If you're watching voodoo from a Hollywood movie, it's totally hijacked because voodoo is completely different from what people's understanding of the religion actually is. Okay, I'm going to be discussing voodoo, but not in great detail. So, um, what are other things to say about Africa? I already discussed that Africa is one of the oldest places on this earth. I also discussed it has rich wildlife. But what else do you want me to say about Africa? Please comment below and I will be do great details of individual countries soon.